to me, it's really simple. We can look out for one another and take care of one another, or we can not. It's that simple. And all the people who want to talk about their independence.
It's that simple.
You're free to eat until you fall down the stairs, but you're not free to drive. The minute your freedom infringes on everyone else's, so I believe very much that as we did with polio.
As we did with polio.
Measles,
Listen to this.
And we'll get there. It'll take some time.
Just to continue on what you were just saying.
So good looking, so handsome.
Feel any backlash from the anti-vaxxers, and does that ever bother you in any circumstances?
He's so polished.
The truth of the matter is, I was listening to a podcast the other day about the polio vaccine, which they screwed up when they first put out, which I didn't remember. I didn't know. I was too young. One factory actually ended up giving a bunch of kids polio and killing them because they weren't filtering out the formaldehyde. We haven't had any of those problems with the vaccine. It's been a pretty successful rollout. And there were lots of skeptics then, and it took a few years, 3 years to get their act together. That's what's going to happen. We'll get our act together, and we'll get it done. We have to, because that's how we get out of this.
He was just watching a documentary on the polio vaccine. And, he didn't remember because he was too young, didn't understand the history of the polio vaccine, how there were some hitches when they tried to, get the polio vaccine out. Why were there hitches? Because some things can't be rushed. Some things you can't push faster than they can go. The speed of science is the speed of science. It means slow for the most part, but it means above all else, scientific and methodical. I was just studying a little bit of history, and once upon a time, they screwed up a vaccine in the early stages of the development of the vaccine. Once upon a time, during the bird flu in the 70s, they screwed up on the vaccine. They pulled it when it had reported adverse effects exponentially by factors of 10, hundreds less cases of adverse events. I was just studying up on history and not learning anything about it, but let me just give you my blue steel. I'm so good looking that it doesn't matter what I say. I'm so good looking that I can get through life pretending to be someone else, relying on my charismatic, chiseled good looks, even if I study history, learn nothing from history, and thus repeat history. What's the expression? Those who don't study history are bound to repeat it, and those who do study history are bound to watch other people repeat it. Swine flu. Sorry, you're right. I meant swine flu. I don't know what I said before. Reading some confirmed trolls. Well done. Parody accounts in the chat. But George Clooney, but before the ink had dried on the immunity given to the pharma companies to develop a technology that had never been used in vaccines before. I didn't think I was going to have to pull this clip up. I'm going to have to pull this clip up. If I look tired and cranky, it's because I'm tired and cranky. What was it? Albert Bourla, mRNA new technology. I mean, some people don't even know the present. Is it here? Here we go. Let's pull up this wonderful clip. Share, present. Albert Bourla.
Into the weeds here and the mRNA technology.
When you and
your colleagues were trying to decide which route to go down, the traditional vaccine route or the mRNA route.
The traditional one or the one that's never been used before?
It was, quote, most counterintuitive to go the mRNA route.
Because it had never been used before.
You went that route. Explain why.
Because it's very, very lucrative.
It was counterintuitive because
it was very lucrative when you don't have any liability and you only have gains to be made. And the government protects you. And it doesn't matter if you lie to the government to get approval because the government would have given you the money. It's very lucrative. It's very lucrative.
Pfizer was mastering, or let's say we had very good experience and expertise with multiple technologies that could give a vaccine. Adenoviruses, that some of the other vaccines
listen to this.
are. We were very good in doing that. Protein vaccines, we were very good in doing that, and plus many other
traditional vaccines, the ones that actually worked.
The mRNA was the technology that we had less experience, only 2 years working on this.
Do you know what 2 years of experience is working with a new technology that, as you'll see, has never been used? It's no experience. 2 years experience. When you're a lawyer, you know, how many years experience do you have? 2 years. Get the hell out of here. How many years law school do you have? 2 years. Get the hell out of here. 2 years experience. 2 years experience. Okay, let's go on.
And actually, mRNA was a technology that never delivered a single product until that day.
Until it delivered 4 billion people new technology that had never been used. And trust me, because I'm a vet.
Not vaccine, not any other medicine. So it was very counterintuitive, and I was surprised when they suggested to me that this is the way to go.
Counterintuitive is one way of saying it. Absolutely reckless is another way of saying it. But Klaus Schwab, he was very good in penetrating the Pfizer. I'm mixing up my accents now.
And I questioned it, and I asked them to justify, how can you say something like that? But they came and they were very, very convinced that this is the right way to go.
Very, very convinced. Can we spell convinced with a little $sign in it?
They felt that the 2 years of war,
speed of science,
on mRNA since 2018, together with BioNTech, to develop a flu vaccine, made them believe that the technology is mature and we are at the cusp of delivering a product.
Made them believe? Made scientists believe something. That's not how science works. That's how religion works. I mean, I'm clenching my fist because it's obscene. It's obscene.
We have a technology we have 2 years experience with. It has never been used before in the context of vaccines. We are being immunized from the government, from all liability. It was very counterintuitive, but it has proven to be very, very lucrative.
Oh, and just, I mean, I don't know. Has anybody in the chat not ever seen that interview from Albert Bourla? Don't trust a random hypochondriacal YouTubing lawyer.
Trust Albert Bourla himself. It was very counterintuitive. We've never used this technology before. Never injected one dose before we changed the definition of vaccine. Got immunity. Who do I sound like now? I sound like Adam Sandler making fun of somebody else. I don't know who I sound like.
No. But don't worry. Go ahead and use it. And by the way, I'll say it every time. This is not Schadenfreude. This is someday people are going to start asking the questions. And until then, it's highly possible that people who might not have otherwise suffered consequences might suffer some consequences. Prominent virologist and AME itinerant elder Dr. A. Oveta Fuller dies at 67. Let's just go to the article. Fuller was an ordained inherent elder in the African Methodist Episcopal Church in the Michigan Annual Conference and served as an adjunct faculty member at Payne Theological Seminary. She also served for several years as a columnist for the Christian Recorder, writing a column, Getting to Zero, advocating for HIV/AIDS awareness and programs throughout AME Church. Fuller died on November 18, 2022, after a brief, you have to specify this, non-COVID related illness. Funeral arrangements are forthcoming. Some of you might know who she is because the Christian stuff aside, she was a virologist who was, and I'm quoting from another article that I included, instrumental in the emergency authorization of the COVID-19 vaccine. Oh yeah, I believe I think I did. Here we go. I brought up a couple of old tweets. As pregnancy naturally brings a temporary type of immunosuppressive, vaccination against COVID and booster are love and wisdom in action for mothers, a mother-to-be, and the people around them. How Dr. Fuller can say this when in the UK they say we don't have enough information to assure the general public that it's safe for pregnant and breastfeeding women. It's amazing. It's amazing. Science is not about agreement. Science is about testing theories vigorously, rigorously, and remorselessly. How one doctor can say it's love and wisdom for pregnant women and mothers to be, where in the UK they're saying we don't have enough data to say anything. And then we got another tweet. I just, wanted to make sure. From pandemic to endemic, SARS-CoV-2 will require wise decisions by leaders and each person. Required vaccines have stopped or reduced many illnesses, polio, with some issues, measles, mumps, pertussis, chickenpox, smallpox. We must add COVID-19 to the list.
But not before we do our clinical trials to see how much myocarditis it might cause. Because, we haven't done that yet. When we were telling everyone it's safe and effective, even though the effectiveness is not in preventing transmission, and the safety, we haven't actually done clinical trials to determine if it causes myocarditis. When we told you all of that, we had no reason for telling it to you, apparently. Unless they know it's safe and effective and they're just doing those trials on myocarditis to see.